welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and we've got a show for you today. First topics we'll be going over is all my trade deadline grades. We'll be separating that into the East Division, Central Division, and the West Division. After that, we'll be going over my post-deadline playoff predictions for all the 6 seeds, then who goes to the World Series, all that kind of stuff. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers to ensure that your question does get read on the air. Please do the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so as I said, our first topics are going to be about my trade deadline grades. We separated it into 3 segments, and the first one we'll be doing is the East Division. So we'll be going over that, and we're going to start off with the AL East, and let's get into it. So, starting off with the New York Yankees here, I have the Yankees as a B- grade for the trade deadline. Their moves are obviously highlighted by the acquisition of star Marlins player Jazz Chisholm. Also got some nice reinforcements to the bullpen in Mark Leiter Jr. and Enyel De Los Santos. Also shipped out Caleb Ferguson, a weapon arm who became excess goods once they did acquire Leiter and De Los Santos. I gave them a B- because I like the moves they did. I think Jazz is a really good player who is going to absolutely thrive in New York. I think Leiter is a very good controllable reliever, but I wish they would have done more, and I also think that the Jazz fit is a little bit questionable. You obviously have a second baseman already in Gleyber Torres, who said he's not moving over to third, and so that's a little weird. And as much as Jazz has played third now, at least a few games now with the Yankees, and he has done pretty well over there defensively, I don't really know if he's going to continue with that. I just don't know how, if he is a major league third baseman defensively. I mean, it's called the hot corner for a reason. And also, I think they should have tried to add a starting pitcher. I understand they were close to acquiring Jack Flaherty, but had to back out because of medicals. That's not really their fault, but I think another starter would have done. Trying to flip Nestor as well. I think that was something important, especially with the injury risk to Garrett Cole. Also, I think they need another infielder. I don't like you guys having, I don't like the infield you have right now. I mean, obviously, Ben Rice at first is fine. Volpe at short, you're not going to move off him. But second and third, you're either going to have Jazz somewhere, and then you're either going to have DJ LeMahieu, Oswaldo Cabrera, or Gleyber Torres there, which I don't really know if those are major league players at this point. Obviously, you couldn't really move off DJ, but he'd be fine in a bench role, but you didn't put him there because you didn't acquire another infielder. And Gleyber just not having a good season, and I think it was time to move on from him at the deadline as well. So overall, I like the moves the Yankees did make, but I think they should have done more, and I think the main acquisition they got, Jazz Chisholm, who I do like a lot, I just think the fit is a little weird, but still, good trade outline for them. Maybe I'm being a little harsh, but that's just my opinion. After that, we have the Orioles, who I'm giving a B. Acquired 2 controllable starting pitchers in Zach Eflin and Trevor Rogers, who are both pretty good. Both, again, under control for next year, and Rogers also 26. So you're not just hoping this year, but next year as well. You really add a lot of depth to that rotation. You now have Corbin Burns, Grayson Rodriguez, Cade Povich, Zach Eflin, and Trevor Rogers really as your top 5, which I think is pretty good. You had a lot of pitching injuries, mainly to Kyle Bradish, so you had to add starting pitchers, and that's what you did here. Bullpen, you also added Sir Anthony Dominguez and Gregory Soto, who are fine guys from the Phillies, but at the same time, I think you needed a better high-leverage guy. Craig Kimbrell has struggled a little bit, and I think you would have been right to kind of try to acquire a closing pitcher. I think maybe acquiring Carlos Estevez would have been a good idea. And also, because of the steep price you paid for Trevor Rogers, I do have to give you guys a B. But overall, I love the Zach Eflin move. Actually, I think that's one of the better moves any team made whatsoever. And I didn't think the price was bad as well. So they still have a fantastic team, and right now look like the World Series favorites. And deadline did nothing to change that. Red Sox, I also have as a B. They didn't need to do that much. They needed to kind of go all in, but not all in, if you know what I mean. They needed to go try to win this year, but not trade significant prospects, which they did not do. Traded for Danny Jansen, which gives them the right-handed bat they desperately needed. As much as the fit is a little weird because they do have an all-star caliber catcher in Connor Wong. Wong can move around the infield as well, so it's kind of okay. So I like the Danny Jansen move. I like the Luis Garcia trade. You give up a lot for him, but he's a good, solid reliever. Lucas Sims is also solid as well. And James Paxton also adds some well-needed depth to your rotation. And Quinn Priester could be a good bet for the future. So I like what the Red Sox did here. B. The Rays, one of the most active teams at the trade deadline, trading a ton of players here, trading Zach Eflin, trading Jason Adam, trading Randy Arozarena, Isaac Paredes, a bunch of all-stars there. And I really like what they did, like most people. I'm giving them a B+. I think it was right to move on from some of these guys like Randy, like Eflin, like Jason Adam. I love the prospects you got back for Jason Adam. I also think you did pretty well in that Randy Arozarena trade. But I think the main thing that comes here with the reason I'm not giving them an A is the Isaac Paredes trade. I know a lot of people like it, but I'm just not huge on Christopher Morel in his future. And I think trading one of the better third basemen in baseball over the past few years for Morel and then a reliever is just kind of eh. So I didn't love that package, but at the same time, I don't really doubt the Rays anymore. So yeah, B+. I think if they would have gotten another top prospect in that Cubs trade, it would have probably gone to an A or even an A+. But I think the Paredes package is the reason why I did put them down a little bit. Finally, finishing off the AL East here, we have the Toronto Blue Jays, one of the more active sellers as well on this. I'm giving them a B. I love the packages they got back. I like what they got back for Yimi Garcia. Jonathan Clase is a really good get. Joey Loperfido and Jake Bloss and Will Wagner is a fantastic, incredible just fleece of the Astros there. I understand pitching prices were high, but wow, that's an incredible package there. So I really like what the trades they did. Just to me, I don't understand the thought process of not shopping Chris Bassett or Kevin Gausman. I mean, you saw what you got back for Kikuchi. Imagine a better Kikuchi who also has a year of control left in Chris Bassett. Bassett's not getting any younger. He's not really a big part of your future. To me, it just makes zero to no sense at all to not even shop Chris Bassett. I understand you want to be competitive this year, but he has 1 year left. He's getting older, and you saw how insane the pitching prices were. I mean, you're getting back maybe your first baseman for the next 10 years in Joey Loperfido, a really good starting pitcher in Jake Bloss, and a really nice third baseman in Will Wagner. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to not even shop Chris Bassett as well as Kevin Gausman. So that's why I'm not giving them a higher grade than a B, but I like the moves they did. I just think they should have sold a little bit more. The Mets, I'm giving them a B+. The Mets didn't need to go all in. I think we're kind of in the same place as the Red Sox, a team that is fighting for a wild card spot and are exceeding expectations this year. I would say the Mets are better than the Red Sox, though. I thought the Huascar Brazoban trade was one of the better trades of the entire deadline. A controllable reliever who's as good as he is, giving up a pretty no-name prospect, I thought was fantastic. I like the Paul Blackburn get. I like the Jesse Winker get. I like what you added to the bullpen as well in Phil Maton and Ryan Stanek. So I really like what the Mets did. They added some good pieces, didn't give up anyone significant, but are also still trying to go with the all-in mentality. But at the same time, I would have liked him to add a bigger starting pitcher, but they just were never going to do that with where the prospect prices were, which is why I give them a B+ and not a higher grade. Next, we have the Atlanta Braves, who I am giving the first non-B grade of this entire East portion. I'm giving them a C-. I'm not a fan of what the Braves did at the deadline. I think Soler is a really good hitter and is a great player, but I think the fit is very awkward. You already have a great DH with Marcell Ozuna. I'm just not sure how much I want Jorge Soler to be playing defense every single day. You're never going to have Ozuna play defense, so Soler is not playing left or right field for you every single day. You didn't add a starting pitcher, which I think you desperately needed to, with Chris Sale and Randall Lopez going very high up in the innings margin. I think both are kind of taking time bombs to their arms. You've already seen an injury with Max Fried, so I really think you need to add a starting pitcher. I think the Soler fit is a little bit weird, so that's why I do give them a C- here. Marlins, A+. The Marlins did what I thought a lot of other teams should do, Blue Jays and Giants, sold off hard. They are fully into a rebuild, sold off every single player they could, most basically, took advantage of this seller's market, and got back insane prospect packages that will really help out this team in the future. I mean, Connor Norby, Kyle Stowers could be starters on this team for the next 5+ years. Robbie Snelling could be a starting pitcher on this team in the next 2 to 3 years. Adam Mazur, same thing. The fact you were able to do all this, get the prospects you got back, was absolutely fantastic. They didn't go half in with it. They went all the way in, saying, you know what, we're not good enough to win in the near future. We're going into a full-out rebuild. I love they did that. I love what they did. An A+. I'm sure everyone is going to be high in their trade deadline, and I am one of those people. A+ grade for Miami. Fantastic job by Peter Bendix. He has a clear vision, and he stuck to it at this deadline. Phillies, I have a C+. I like the moves they made. Carlos Estevez is a very good closer who would really help out their bullpen, of course. I think the price was really high, though, giving up the prospects that you did. I think borderline top 100 guys. And then only adding Austin Hayes to your outfield seems like a loss. There were a lot of good outfield bats in the market available, and I don't really think Austin Hayes was the best possible person to add here. I think he was a little bit of a cop-out to kind of get him. I think you should have gone someone better. But is what it is. Still, I like the moves they made. I just think you could have upgraded on Hayes. I think the prospect package for Estevez was a little high and could have done a little bit more as well. So I do give the Phillies a C+ here. Nationals, I have as a B. Nationals sold off some people, including Lane Thomas. Got some really nice packages back in prospect-wise, and I like what they did. I don't know if I would have sold off Lane. Actually, no, I would have sold off Lane Thomas. I'm changing my mind on the spot here, but yeah, I like the prospect packages they got back for Dylan Floro, for Jesse Winker, for Lane Thomas, guys that could really help out in the near future for this Nationals team. Have a very good future, and I don't think they'll be selling after this year anytime soon. I have a really, really dangerous core, and as a Mets fan, I am very nervous about that. So do give them a B here. So going back over the grades for the East, I give the Yankees a B-, the Orioles a B, Red Sox a B, Rays a B+, Blue Jays a B, Mets a B+, Braves a C-, Marlins an A+, Phillies a C+, and Nationals a B. A lot of Bs here, but it's kind of how it is. We're moving into our second segment now, which is going to be talking about the Central Division and their trade deadline grades there. So yeah, we'll be doing that, and we'll be seeing you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.